Welcome back to the second part of episode 9 Just Swim podcast. It's my birthday coming up soon, and I've been thinking, I'm debating whether to get a new lens for my existing camera or get a new camera. Both seem to be about the same price. So the lens that I'm looking at, if anyone's into photography, is the newest ones are a 17 to 35 mil one, they 1.8 or maybe 2, 1 to 2f, something like that. So pretty good lens, good glass. They're about £300-400. I guess the camera's double that actually. Whereas what I could get is a new camera, which would be good for not necessarily live streaming, but and this is another thing that I want to talk about actually. Video conferencing. So a good either DSLR or mirrorless camera that has webcam support. Now I do have a video capture card, HDMI video capture card, but it seems like the cameras that do what's known as clean HDMI output, which I don't know if yours does, it might do, the Canon 700D. But what that means is clean output is if you're not shooting, if you're not recording, you can turn off all displays on the HDMI output, run it into a capture card, and use it as a webcam. Now you have recently, I sent you a link today about the webcam utility from Canon, which I'm really interested to see, because it could be that I just get a 700D, because they're a lot cheaper. They're like the same price as the lens at the moment, because they're like oldish cameras.
I think what I've got's fine. I mean, especially if you get decent lenses for it. Like mine's got the standard lens that came with it, but I'm sure you could do some kick-ass lenses for it. So, like, it's just the lens. The camera's the camera, as far as I understand with photography. Like, I know there are improvements and variations, but unless you want to spend like $2,000, then you're probably not going to get much more for your money. It's like headphones. It's like cameras are one of those things that the ratio of as you spend an extra 50 quid, you get less and less with every 50 quid you add.
Yeah, so the things that I'm looking for, I guess, in a new camera is good video quality, either full HD output on video, ideally 4K with most modern cameras.
Are you always going to be using the camera in a standing setting? Because one thing I have to say, because I've got two different types of cameras, haven't I? I've got the 700D, which is a big DSLR, and then I've got the Handycam, the Canon, the Sony G7X.
No, not Sony, it's Canon G7X.
Yeah, Canon G7X, yeah. So I've got the perfect spectrum of both of them.
Yeah.
And I've used the other one so much more.
The G7X?
Yeah, so much more.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. So the Canon M50 is kind of like...
It's not, though.
An intermediate between a DSLR and a PowerShot.
Yeah, I don't know how much I see that. Like,
it's a light camera.
One thing I've loved is putting it on the stick, but that's kind of like because I've always made like shitty vlog material that I've never used and like stuff like that.
Well, the G7X is a good camera, but at the moment I can't find any Mark 1 G7X, and the problem is I believe only the Mark II G7X, which I think is currently the available one, but I think sometime in June, that's when everyone releases their new camera models, which I think the Mark III is coming soon for the G7X. and I think only the Mark II onwards can be used as webcam.
So I reckon that space for the small camera is going to be getting super competitive because of like vlogging and everything like that.
It
So I
really
reckon
is.
that new G7X is going to be booming.
It really is. So here's the thing: is the
like you fucking turn it on, it'll make a vlog for you. Just turn it
yeah
off
yeah.
again.
So there's a few cameras that I've been looking at. One is a Fujifilm X-A5/A7.
Sounds cool.
That's good. It's again a mirrorless camera, but it's a cropped sensor, but it's less cropped than the Canon M50 that I was also looking at. There's the Canon M50 and the G7X. All of which can be used as a webcam through the utilities. All about the same price, but from the videos that I've seen online, the Canons look better. Even though they might have drawbacks in some places compared to the Fujifilm, the color quality, the color and the exposure coming out of the Canon is far better than the Fujifilm. So I'm really torn at the moment. I'm just sort of, I'm also thinking, do I get that or do I get a new lens for my existing camera? But my existing camera can only do photos. It doesn't have video. I think I would prefer a new camera that can do webcam support. Especially at the moment, because the webcam that I've got is useless. And at the moment I'm doing quite a lot of calls, which will lead me into my next thing, which is again about working from home and all of the video conferencing that everyone's doing at the moment. Do you think that it's a bad thing that we are, because a lot of the user interfaces of these conferencing apps is it will show you a big picture of everybody else and you'll always have a small picture of you.
Yeah.
But my question to you is, to lead us on into the next discussion topic, which might be a short one, is how often do you look at yourself when you're talking online to your colleagues?
That's an interesting question. I guess I don't look at myself. I think during the call I might not listen to what someone's saying and look at myself. Simply because I noticed that I'm there, because I think, oh, there's loads of people here, and I like be looking at, oh, look at all these little boxes. Oh, there's a guy talking, but look at all these little ones. What do they think about what he's saying? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Looking at reactions, like, I love it when somebody's like secret, like they got a little grin on, and I'm like, yeah, I know what you're thinking, like fuck this, or this is a good idea, or whatever. So I like doing that. And then I'll suddenly think, oh, I'm a little box as well. And I'll scroll to mine and I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm just, there's me. But one thing recently is that because we were both on meetings at different times, I'd been doing all of my calls from the bedroom and essentially sitting on the bed with the curtains behind me.
Yeah, not ideal.
Yeah, I know, exactly. And I kind of like started thinking to myself over and over again, I was like, well, people are just going to think I'm sat on my bed all day, even though it doesn't look like I'm on my bed. It's like, why is he sat with curtains behind? Like, it's just a bit weird. But then the reality is, it's like, I think it's a fairly, like, if you think about the reality, I've got a kid running around in the lounge. She's probably wants to have the TV on or like the audio books on or whatever she's doing, like making quite a lot of noise.
Yep.
Then I've got Claudia sat on the table directly behind the desk I would be at. Claudia doesn't want the camera on when she's walking around getting breakfast and stuff like that. You know, the house is tidy. We have a tidy house, but it's still a family house. So every so often there's going to be Miyako's toys out and crap like that. And, you know, my bagel I've just eaten for breakfast lying half eaten or something stupid. So it's like, it's not ideal. But what I have done recently is I've just said, well, fine, this is my life. I'm not going to sit there and sit in the room. So I just put it on the camera on the PC in the lounge.
Do you feel bad enough about it that you ever had to justify it to somebody in the call?
I did when I used to sit in front of the curtains, because I think a lot of people they used to say, "Oh, Tim's back in his tent." I used to pretend I was in like a wigwam, like I'm in a caveman tent or something, like out in or like out in, I don't know, wherever in the desert. And I kind of used to be like, "Oh yeah, my partner's on a call at the same time, and like Miyako's running around, or
yeah,
whatever." Because it is quite hard in that regard.
I think that will be one thing in your life if this house proceed goes through well. That's going to be one thing that you'll appreciate a lot. I think
Dude, I
is
can't. I was thinking the other day. I think it might be too much room. Like I'm imagining myself down in the garage, and like I always know where Claudia and Miyako are because they're right next to me
and you're not going to know
for
now.
for ages.
They
I'm just
could
gonna
be
be
in the
like,
kitchen. They could be
yeah,
in
I couldn't
anywhere.
hear anything. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then also like I was imagining at night going down to get a glass of water in that house, and I was like, I'm ding.
Have to go downstairs. Yeah,
I'm like,
boy.
gonna have to be more than 20 meters from my loved ones and like in this dark place. Oh. I don't know. It's just a bit weird, but it doesn't make sense to me really, the whole idea of it. But especially now there's another one on the way. Like 100% need that space, I guess. So
Yeah, for sure. And I think it will be like a big I don't know, the whole time I've been thinking of the right word to say, but I just not very good at the English language. But like it'll be like a huge satisfaction when you can separate your work from your living by having a separate room for your computer and your laptop space. And you can leave that room at the end of the working day and go, right, that's it.
so true, because I'm like, that is one thing I've noticed, is that from prior career experience, I've been trained to have like a 9 till 5, like, or even 9 till 7, like go mode.
Yeah.
Like setting things that I'm going to do and then doing those things in that day. But then what happens at the moment is like I've literally given up setting those things. And if I get done in the day what I can get done in the day, I attend the meetings that I know I have to attend, and like I could do better. I could do better, but I just can't at the moment, because it's like like earlier it got towards the end of the day, and Miyako is just like, she's so lovely, but she's just like, she's bouncing off the walls. She always has been, because she's a really excitable child. Like most kids would be like that, but she is towards the like energetics end of the spectrum. And I didn't have my headphones on at the time, and I was trying to write a list of how we wanted to have different cryptocurrencies in the wallet for our wallet at work.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't think of the sources and the fields of data that would be required per each cryptocurrency.
Right.
And I was sitting there trying to think of it, and I know these things like time, date, pending transaction status, like all this stuff, yeah, value, obvious things. I just couldn't think about it. I was just like, I just turned around at Claudia and Miyako. I was just like, just please, because Claudia was next to me in the kitchen and Miyako was in the fridge. And then I was sat at and for people who don't understand that, that is 3 people standing in a row next to each other.
Yeah.
And like, I was just like, it's getting towards the end of the day. I had a meeting in half an hour where I was going to talk about this stuff. And I was just thinking to myself, I was just like, dude, like,
I can't focus.
Yeah. And it's no one's fault. It's like, and you know, that's what it is. I think Funfair's been quite understanding. Like my company has been quite understanding of that, though. They always are very, like, when they do talk about stuff, they're like, just do what you can, and like, if there's anything we can do to help, then we will. I should probably talk to them and like tell them about that, though, because if it's not obvious, then maybe they think like some weird shit's going on. I don't know, but
yeah, you should
I think they kind of understand it.
Yeah, talk to HR about it. So the good thing about talking to HR is basically what HR are there for is just to listen to problems. They never offer solutions and they never provide solutions. They're just there to listen. And it's good. HR is quite good because they, human resources, they're like small spies. They're like little spies within the business. Because you always feel comfortable. I don't know if you've ever spoken to a HR person. Obviously, you have a Funfair.
Yeah.
They're always quite relaxed and calming, and it's because they have fuck all going on, basically.
Our HR lady is really good.
Yeah.
Like really good. Yeah. So I think she's younger than me. I'm bringing age into it just because she's like early on in her career and just came into a company that was full of these like
Broken
not all
processes.
middle aged, but like senior developers
Oh,
who are
right.
like,
Okay.
like stick to their processes, keep themselves quite a lot. And we do have a really good fun team. Like everyone's great, but she really, you have to over communicate to achieve things with our team because
Yeah.
it's like you know how you feeling, guys? It's like, no one's like, I did this today. You know what I mean? It's just not always like that. But she does well, and I think it's kind of. I remember you saying like earlier, you saying like it's just they can't really solve things. I think she kind of does quite well. A lot of the time, she's pushed me towards doing certain things, or we've discussed certain things, or she has seen between the lines in a certain way of like things that are happening in our company, whether it be upwards or just general.
That's what I
stuff.
mean. HR they get a full sentiment of the entire business.
But one thing I've wanted in our company is like there's a lot of times when my feedback is just to give her more power. Like what do you mean power? Like just give her more, like I don't know what it is, like elevate her role, make it head of people. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
because that's one thing that I love so much is when a young person is good at their job and they go and a company says this person is good. They're as good as a 40-year-old doing this job.
Yeah.
So I can tell them they're a 40-year-old. Here's some more money. Here's a job title that sounds like you're older.
Yeah.
Run away and move forwards in life.
Yeah.
Because you deserve it.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people in work that, especially like older people who are senior, looking down and not ready to promote people just because they are young. There's literally like, does this person offer more than someone who's like 40 in our company? Yeah, but they don't have as much experience. Like, what?
Yeah, fuck off.
Take experience for a ride, honestly, because experience is only good if you're ready to really, really grind it, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the flip side to that argument is that experience seen like the more experience you have, the less risk you have. Less risk there is on the business.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, it's all well and good promoting somebody young, giving them a good job title, giving them a promotion. But as soon as they get that, you might keep them for about 6 months, and then they're going to go, fuck this, I'm going to go be head of HR for Barclays Bank. So you lose that talent. So that's I think that's kind of one thing. But at the same time, I do agree that like, and one of the problems of that is the increasing pension age. So what happens is you have all of these not old people, but seniors in business thinking like, fuck, I'm not going to get my pension until I'm 75 years old or whatever. So they think, well, I'm going to hold on to my job. And if I promote somebody, that makes me redundant. So it's a bit of selfishness involved as well. But at the same time, they're just self-protecting. But anyway, the whole reason why I asked is about, do you look at yourself? Like, how often do you look at yourself when you're on a Zoom call or whatever it is you use, Discord? Is because I worry for the people that are doing this every day, in that this probably been one of the only times in human history where people have had, well, not necessarily had, but been forced to have a picture of themselves displayed to them for an extended period of time every single day.
That's true. I haven't thought of it. I think that. So the other thing is that I've seen a lot is someone on Twitter was tweeting saying, make it compulsory that video conference calls don't include video. So it's just your name.
I think so. Say that again.
So I watch a lot of the Ethereum dev calls, and it'll be a Zoom call, and you'll have a few people who have their camera on, but a lot of them it'll just say their name, because they've got their camera off, and it's weird because. So I remember when we had our old CEO, one of the things he said on one meeting was, "Can we have people's cameras on, please?" I thought that was the weirdest line I've ever heard.
Why?
And it was because what you're really asking for there is like, show your face. Like, what if I don't want to?
But you don't get that opportunity. You don't say that when you're in an office.
Yeah, I know.
You don't get that choice.
Yeah, I know. But you're not in an office.
I understand. That's like
if you go on a social evening out, like you might. I mean, you do act like you do in an office, but it's also different. Like it's all different. It's different variables. There's nothing in my contract that says that if I'm to be working from home, I should have my face on a video call. Well, and everyone did put their faces on. Most people, yeah. But I'm just saying that I think that what you're really saying has merit, and there are issues to it, and wouldn't it just be simpler if we all had our freaking voices on? Because, I'm thinking about adding video to our podcast, but one of the reasons I don't want to is because I feel like we talk more when we don't have video on. I feel like we listen more and we get further in a discussion. And maybe I could do the same with our meetings at work.
No, I do agree with that. At the same time, I think it's important. I value highly the physical interact. I mean, it's hard over webcam, but
no, but it's true. On our Scrums call, we all have our cameras on, we're smiling, we have a good time. And if we didn't have our cameras on, probably be a bit different, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But it's like I just.
So that's an attitude, though, isn't it? This is what's fascinating to me. Like this whole topic of this is like a huge social experiment. What we're going through, what the world's going through right now, of work. Like most people in the world, where they can, working from home.
Yeah.
Having these, like, it's almost like a sci-fi film, like what we're in at the moment.
Yeah, it is.
Like holograms. Synthetic backgrounds, filters when you want, like
well, you walk past people's houses and you're looking through the windows,
and that's what they're doing.
People sat there,
because
there's a road near mine where you literally you walk down the path and it's literally like window in front of you, and you can't help but look out the corner of your eye what are they doing? Yeah, he's doing this, he's doing that, just because what maybe TV just do me. They have? Yeah, but everyone's just freaking sat there.
Everyone sat there. But that's why I think so a lot of me agrees with you that there is a different dynamic. There is definitely a different dynamic between voice only and voice with video. I think if you're a team that works really well, I don't think it matters. So an example of that is a dev team. A software engineering team, they have to engage every day with each other, even if it's a Slack message, which means their team bonding and team morale is always good, even if it's not good one day, if something's really depressing them. But the interactions that they have with each other are always not necessarily positive, but meaningful interactions, and you value what the other person says. Which means it doesn't really matter to you whether you have video or not, because you are somewhat linked to that person.
Yeah, you have that space and that family. Yeah. So can I just swing it sideways a little bit on the sense that you said the impact, the social experiment that we're having at the moment. So one of the things I wanted to talk about, and the reason I brought up fashion at the start, is I'm kind of interested to understand what hit the fashion industry has taken during this period, because when I look outside or when I go to Sainsbury's, I'm seeing a decay in everyone's just in pajamas and trackies. Me and Claudia, we went down the high street the other day. A woman walked past us in a fluffy dressing gown. She walked past us in a fluffy dressing gown on the phone, chatting away. This is like 12 o'clock, maybe 1 o'clock in the day. And this is what I'm saying is like people like me, for example, I've worn pajama trousers and a t-shirt for my Zoom calls, or trackies when I go out, and a coat. Like, I just,
well,
apart from when I went on those house viewings where I wear some jeans, like, and I'm saying, this is what I'm saying is, why would anyone buy the latest fashion wear right now? Why would you bother?
I agree.
And that's and another funny thing is the whole Instagram thing. If you see these people sat at home like all done up, what's the point?
What's the point? Yeah,
You've literally got dressed up today just because you know you might take an Instagram story.
Yeah.
That's it. Imagine getting ready in the morning, like, and that's the tragedy. Like, I think the female world. I don't mean to put it all on females because I know everything's not like this if you're a female, but like, oh, it is such a bubble. Like, wake up and do your makeup and do your hair, and like, God, I
totally agree.
It's crazy. Imagine when you used to go to school every morning, like girls like get up and like do their makeup and stuff, like sit in front of the mirror and like paint your face. Jesus.
I wish they. You know what? Like,
just leave it.
I wish they had just banned it. I wish. Well,
they did kind of, didn't they? There was always people sent to the bathrooms to scrub their faces or whatever.
There's always the rules were there's like there was like a level of tolerance for how far you can take makeup. And that's an interesting thing. I don't know if you know. I think you might have caught on to him recently, but what's his name? What's the Canadian guy's name that always talks about this sort of stuff? He wrote a book called 12 Rules for Life.
Oh, Jordan Peterson.
Jordan Peterson, that's it.
Yeah.
He spoke about this in an interview, which I'm sure a lot of people have seen. And I totally stand by him on this, which is there's a purpose for makeup, which is to make you look better than what you are, to give the appearance that you're looking healthy and essentially a prime mate. Now, a lot of girls would disagree with that statement. Liza disagrees with it. And the excuse that a lot of people have is that it's to make me feel good. Like, if I put makeup on, it's to make me feel good. But what do you mean? It's, you don't see the makeup. Like, when you're out and about, yeah, you see it when you put it on, but after that you don't see it. So how can it be to make you, the only way that it can make you look good, that make you feel good as a person wearing makeup, is because people don't look at you weird because you're not wearing makeup. So there's two faults there. Is we shouldn't people, it's like racism, people shouldn't degrade women for not wearing makeup. I think that will come with time, but at the same time, I really don't believe that women should think that putting makeup on makes them feel good. I think those two things are intertwined. And the other thing so anyway, going back to what Jordan Peterson says, is we haven't had, like, there is, and sort of linking it back to what we were saying, is the social experiment of wearing makeup in the workspace is still ongoing. Women have only been in the workplace in Western society for maybe, 50 years, 60 years, when women's rights came into society, when companies were like, actually, yeah, we should probably hire some women because like they can do things, like, and they can help us. Which was a good thing. But at the same time, what that brought with them eventually was this idea of a sexuality in the workplace, which isn't necessarily women's problem or men's problem. I think part of the reason is down to wearing makeup. And I think one of the reasons why some people wear makeup, some women wear makeup, is so that they can level the playing field between themselves. And that was definitely a lot. All women would disagree with what I've just said there. 100%.
Yeah. Well, no, it's the bar that they set between themselves.
Exactly.
It's like, for example, Claudia goes, I don't think she wears that much work when she used to makeup when she used to work in the office. Because she works from home now. But like, she doesn't really know anyone really at her office or have a social presence in the office. She kind of goes there to get her work done and then goes home.
Yeah.
But she will still wear that makeup. But that's just because they're all sat there wearing makeup, aren't they? It's almost it's a language set between girls almost.
Yeah. So the best thing to do, in my opinion, is ban makeup. If you're a business, ban makeup in the workplace. Men don't wear it, so why should women wear it?
Can you imagine the uproar? That'd be like,
why? What's the argument against it? You cannot portray yourself as somebody you're not. That's the policy of the business. Because what that invites is essentially a man could go, well, fuck it, I'm going to wear a horse face today. Because that's essentially what's happening. I'm going to portray myself as something different from what I am.
Yeah. It's also not very helpful because the whole point is that it's like seductive.
Well, that's another thing that a lot of women would disagree with.
There's another thing. I can't remember if someone told me this once, but there was like a policy at Netflix where you weren't allowed to make eye contact with another staff member for more than 3 seconds.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Is that real?
I don't know if it's real, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was real.
I don't think about eye contact like I'm eye fucking someone. I just look at people. I think I'm quite like confident like that. Especially, I think if I first meet you, I'm not like bogging out your centre pupils. I'm like doing it for a few seconds, then looking somewhere else, like don't like dancing around the space a bit, like kind of like probably just wishing to get out of the situation entirely. But once I know you, like I'm just gonna sit there and we're gonna look at each other and talk.
Yeah, like normal fucking humans would.
Yeah. It's just weird. That's it, isn't it? We're doing this. It's like that cancel culture stuff, isn't it? It's like the over.
Yeah, well, I don't understand that, mate.
Of everything.
You know what? I think we've. I think we're at this point in our lives where our generation can clearly see a dramatic difference in the generation underneath us.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck are you guys doing down there? Like, you have no fucking clue what's going on, and you're just whatever. Like,
yep. That's the state of the world, mate. It's episode 9. Hasn't changed much from episode 1. We've been really pushing for it. We've been talking about a lot of stuff, but we're just gonna have to keep talking because it's not fixed yet.
Yeah, that's it. Let's make a promise to the world that this podcast will end when all problems that we've highlighted in the podcast have been resolved. Until that point, the podcast will continue.
What would be interesting would be to gather the problems and to try and prioritize them.
Put them in a sprint board. Size them up. Let's go.
Well, racism has got a dependency on removing dickheads. There's too many
personal jokes in the industry.
One thing I think we were saying, just to go back to the old the closure part of the podcast, which is where we'll do a bit of housekeeping, which is that we were coming to the 10th episode next week, at which point we did say we would try and find a guest.
Yeah.
So I don't think bringing video to it is a good idea anyway, because I want to experience our guests without video, just for those reasons we just discussed.
I'm totally on the same page. I just feel that there might be a struggle with some of the people that we get on. Is like, the brilliant thing about the way that I've set this podcast up is it makes it so nice for me to do post-production editing.
Yeah. But that's only as, we'll just have to create some documents for them.
I like the way that you're hinting that Woody should make those documents.
Go to this. Well, I'm making the logos, mate. Have you seen our new logo?
Yeah, it's great, mate.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? We've gone from a 4.5 to a 5.4.
Yeah, that's great.
Out of 10. So we're getting there, but I can probably do that. It sounds like one of my PRDs.
I can do it.
Go to this place.
Download it. Yeah, the thing is there's a lot of settings that I need people to change. But anyway, regardless, let's stop talking about that shit. Let's talk about.
But we're going to get some guests.
We're going to get guests, yeah.
Yeah, we've got quite a few people to choose from. Even I keep thinking of different people every day that'd be interesting. So I think what we'll do is something like a guest every 3 episodes or something like that. Yeah. Just to make it special. And like you said, I think some people might find it hard to get on. I think some people might find it hard to necessarily talk all of the time. I think some people might find it easy. But that will be part of the adventure that we go on. And you'll be coming with us whether you like it or not. Was that it?
Was that a closing statement?
No. I'm just saying that's where we're going.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's the I'm quite excited actually, especially with the guest that we were hoping to get on for the 10th episode. I don't know if you've given notice. I don't know if...
You know me, mate. To be fair, we've got a week's notice if I ping him tonight.
Well, I've been thinking there's I think there's a good at least an hour and a half of content with him. I think. I've got questions. I've got questions about lots of things with him.
I've got questions as well.
I would love to know where his mind's at. One thing I was
wondering is if at the start of bringing a guest on, if we were going to do like a 30-minute so take us through your coronavirus diaries. That was what I was wondering.
That could be interesting.
And then to go into our why this person is here. But I don't always want to focus on coronavirus. But then it's kind of like, as you said, social experiment. You can't really not. I find every day is interesting.
Yeah, it is. I think it's valuable.
Have you had any weird things happen recently?
What, in my life?
Just when you're out and about. Have you been going out much?
Oh, I went shopping the other day. I had a beautiful experience shopping the other day. The only problem is, and here's a bit of advice for people shopping, especially at the Tesco at Gallows Corner in Essex. Don't go on a Thursday.
Why is that?
I just feel like it's the day that they don't get a fresh batch in.
Everything comes on a Monday.
Everything comes. That's what I mean. So I think
Sunday's the worst day.
Yeah,
I reckon it comes on Monday, and on Friday they stock a second. They put the other 50% onto the shop shelves for the weekend.
Well, it's interesting because I was there on a Thursday, and it seemed like there was a shitload of stacking going on. So I think Thursday might be, and that's kind of if you think about it, midweek, ready for the weekend.
Yeah.
But I went there, and they hadn't restocked some of the important things like mango.
Oh dear.
And the mango
crazy without his mango.
Jesus. Anyway,
he's on fire
in Dubai.
In the Dubes.
I had there was not obviously, but there's
like mango salad or some shit, didn't you?
No. Well, so Dubai has. A lot of the workers in Dubai are Indian, Pakistani, British, and Arab. That's kind of the cohort that we're talking about here. And Jesus Christ, the Pakistanis, the mangoes that they have are unbelievable. They produce the best mangoes you've ever tasted in your entire life. And here's the thing. So I purchased a mango the other day from Tesco, and basically every time I go to Tesco, I get a mango for the Thai curry that we have, because Dad likes to put mango in the Thai curry. If you've never tried it, you're missing out. But they always say ripe and ready mangoes.
Yeah.
The thing is the mangoes that I had in Dubai, the Pakistani mangoes, they were ripe and ready. And when I mean ripe and ready, they were so ripe that they were wrinkled. But the Pakistani said to me, this is the, like, they picked out, because I never had a Pakistani mango, and they were all like around me, like, you have to try one of these mangoes. And they picked out the best mango out of the bunch. Basically, they brought in like a crate, a massive crate of maybe 100 mangoes, 150 mangoes, just in a big box, in a big cooler box. And everybody got one if they wanted one. And a few of the guys that are on my team were Pakistanis. They were mostly designers.
Yeah.
They asked me, Woody, have you ever had a Pakistani mango before? And I went, no, I haven't. So they rushed over to the mango box and they fetched me the prime of the mangoes. So they brought this mango over to me and they said, right, this mango that we've got you here is from Pakistan, and it's the perfect ripeness to eat as a mango. So they taught me how to open the mango and how to eat the mango. It's quite messy, and they did say, yeah, here's a bit of tissue. You need a bit of tissue with it.
And it's that juice. I bet you bite it, just the juice and just runs out of it like a smoothie. It's absolutely
amazing.
Yeah,
you've never tasted something better in your entire life.
I think a lot of the food cycle, like the food that we eat from supermarkets, like that's what I said to you about not tasting anything anymore. I think we're just like, we don't expect it.
Well, here's the thing: is I was thinking about this the other day. Like, I feel so that in Dubai there was Waitrose,
yeah,
and they stocked basically their target audience was people like me, UK citizens that were in Dubai, because there's quite a few of us there, and they wanted the taste of home. But you go to the Waitrose Dubai store, and you go over to the fruit and veg section, and it's like all of the produce there is like here, where, you know, like a broccoli is like a perfect broccoli, or like an orange is like the perfect orange, like, or a carrot is as straight as a stick.
Yeah.
You go to a market, or
that's not nice food.
That's what I mean. You go to a market, or you go to Carrefour, or you go to a proper place that does proper food, and like Swedes have got bumps on them, broccolis are different colours, carrots are all wonky, and they taste so much better.
Yeah.
We've there's this world that we live in the UK. It might be the same in the States, where supermarkets buy this produce that it doesn't taste good, but to the eye it's aesthetically pleasing. And I feel like we're just being fed this shit that actually
is that we're gonna start genetically moderating plants.
We already do
to be a certain shape,
because
we grow those.
Exactly.
And then we're gonna lose the ones that actually have any decent taste.
Well, that's what happened with apples.
Because we eat with our eyes so much.
That's what happened with apples. So back in maybe 100 years ago, 150 years ago, 120 years ago, there was like thousands of apple varieties available at the market. Now you go to a supermarket, there's maybe 7 varieties, and they're the only ones that people buy. And the uses of the apples, like they're just eating apples. Like, I don't know. I'll go into Tesco. I always look at apples, and I always look at different apples. And the section for cooking apples, it's one variety of cooking apple, and there's like nothing of them. Whereas 120 years ago, there was like 50 varieties of cooking apples, 50 varieties of red apples, 50 varieties of green apples, 100 varieties of everything in between, all available for you to choose. But now that we've learned how to genetically modify and make apples look perfect, waxy skin.
So is anything in Sainsbury's or anything like that genetically grown?
basically everything that's purchased by supermarkets has been GM'd. Not necessarily for looks, but so basically this is what happens. So the Jazz apple is a GM apple.
Oh really? So you're supporting the GMs?
But the thing is it does taste amazing. That's the bad.
Oh, but it's great. This one's fine. We'll let Jazz apples go.
No, I'm not saying let it go. I'm saying I'd much prefer a world where I had more choice. But at the moment, where the choice is only GM apples, I'll definitely go with Jazz. I understand that that's counterintuitive and that I'm supporting genetic modification, but it's worse than that. It's not. I have a problem with GM crops. I think there is a benefit to GM crops. So genetic modification can include something like pesticide resistance, so that you don't have to use so much pesticides, which in turn means that you don't pollute the water, which means you don't pollute the oceans, which means you don't kill the things that eventually the water's running off into. So that's a good thing about GM, is science creating a product that's environmentally friendly at the expense of humans' time, which I think is a good thing. The bad thing of it is that, let's say you've created a nice apple, like the Jazz apple, and this does happen. Just because you've GM'd an apple doesn't mean that all Jazz apples turn out the perfect shape. So what happens is the supermarkets, they basically quality assure the aesthetic appeal of the apple. And if it's not good, that it's gone. Like, it's just in the bin. Like, it gets thrown out. That's the bad side of genetic modification, where you may be able to control its pesticide resistance, but you may introduce other side effects to the genome where it might not look so good on 80% of the time or 90% of the time. So you end up with a larger waste ratio. That's the bad side of it.
So I have actually realised that I've skipped over a few of my questions that I wanted to ask, which are, you die and find out that everyone gets to choose a 12-foot by 12-foot square to stay in alone for eternity without being able to influence or contact the living world. What 12-foot by 12-foot square would you choose?
Can I interact with the environment?
No.
So I'm just stuck there as a ghost, just there.
Yeah. So you could imagine an answer like maybe Times Square, so at least you can see lots of shit going on. So you're watching something. Do you know what I mean? You've got to choose something that's going to stimulate you for eternity, or at least try.
I would go...
Just a black box.
So the first thing that come to my mind was the bridge on YouTube. I can't remember the name of it. It's like 11'2" or something, where basically every week a lorry crashes into this bridge. That's the first thing that comes to mind. I think that would keep me entertained. I could just sit there. Every time I'd be satisfied with it, I think.
There you go. It's going to be another 6 weeks till the next one.
No, I don't. No, it happens more often than you think. Okay. But at the same time, I think I could, if I was in like a mountain and I chose an area where there was a log facing outwards over the, like, out towards the rest of the mountainous range, and it was southward facing if you're in the northern hemisphere, I think I could live with that for eternity, just sitting on that log, watching the sunrise over the mountains, the clouds rolling over, setting. I could watch that forever, watching the trees grow, watching the environment around me, the little spiders that are on the log, and the foxes or whatever it is running past, the wildlife running past. I think that's where I'd want to be. Or I would like to choose a 12-foot by 12-foot area that's just outside of a brine pool off the coast of Mexico.
The brine pool, isn't that where the whales would like jump up?
No, so a brine pool is at the bottom of the ocean.
It's like all the shrimp, isn't it?
Where a brine pool is. So brine, do you know what brine is?
Oh wait, doesn't it stick to the heat of the volcanoes underwater? Brine are like little brine shrimp.
Yeah, so brine is a solution of water and that's highly saturated with salt.
Oh yeah, and the shrimp are in the brine, right? Yeah,
potentially.
Yeah.
But not a lot of living things can survive in brine.
Yeah.
So there are some fish or some eels that can go into the brine, but if they stay in there too long, they go
like
shocked.
crazy. Yeah.
I would love to just stand there and just. And the thing is
what is it with you? You've got the only way you can get through this experience is to watch people suffer.
Well, or on top of a mountain where it's total blissness.
I want a mountain or people suffering. And that's my spectrum. That's it.
Well, you got to have something interesting. I think suffering is interesting.
Yeah. I couldn't really think of a good answer for this other than like I might go to like the perfect seat in Old Trafford and watch the Man United games every week, like because I know that like unless they change stadiums, I'm good for a long time. Every Sunday, I've got a match to look forward to.
Maybe another choice I would make is just left my mind.
Okay, that's fine because I've got a better question, which is the exact same question, but instead of a 12-foot by 12-foot thing, you can just say a place. And instead of you not being able to influence or contact the world, you can haunt people. You can fucking do shit. So what would you come back and haunt, basically? Well, not necessarily haunt. You could just use it to, like, I don't know, make the world a better place, but you could haunt people.
Honestly,
imagine going to like the freaking Houses of Parliament and being the ghost for the Houses of Parliament, or like the Prime Minister's bedroom. Anyway, yeah, sorry.
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind on that one is I would love to go to like a science laboratory where like serious science is done, and like you got people in white lab coats and they've got like test tubes and shit and electronic equipment, and just fuck around with them. And because they wouldn't know, because none of them believe in ghosts. But if you're a ghost, you could just go there and have all the fun you want because they don't believe in them. And they'd be like, who moved my mug? And they could just fuck with people so much. Because I was going to say like, I'd have to go to like a proper God Squad believer, like the Sistine Chapel or the Pope. That would be good, wouldn't it? Going to that, just staying in the Pope's wherever he lives.
Yeah.
And just like fucking with him. That'd be great. Well, another good place would be probably to go to a place where other ghosts are.
Yeah. What? I don't know. Where would other ghosts be? Where would
I don't know.
Where would the party be? Where would loads of people want to go?
I don't know.
Yeah.
A cemetery, maybe. Maybe they're all dancing on their graves. I don't know. Yeah. Interesting questions, though. If I could interact with my environment and I was a ghost, I'd probably be where I am right now.
On my computer.
Yeah.
Here we go. Yeah.
An infinite world of just sitting there on my computer. If I can interact with it.
Inside the computer. Yeah.
Just
that's a good one.
Yeah.
So one thing I did wonder when you were talking about that is it made me think about the Hadron Collider when you thought about science.
Oh yeah.
And then I wanted to ask the question of how far is science ahead of what we know? And kind of what I'm asking here is, I think there's two things. Is there like a super rich millionaire side of humanity that have advanced science further than we think, and we're just never going to know? In the sense that they have an underground base that's been there for
loads
of years, and they just know things that we don't because they've managed to harbour the talent and the time and the technology to understand things. I guess the other second side to the question is traditional science like sort of like further than what we actually publicly speak about? Also, is it silenced? I don't know. Because I see lots of bullshit like the Hadron Collider is doing crazy stuff that can like split us into a different time zone in the universe and we wouldn't even realize. Yeah, for example, which I think is like theoretical / clickbait. Yeah, but at the end of the day, like wouldn't know if it happened. But you know what I mean? They could be doing any tinkering down there. It could be the Hadron Collider, doesn't it? It's just like we'll build this thing and we'll say it does stuff, and the public's going to think, "Wow, look at the stuff they're doing." But it's actually just sit down there and have a wank all day.
They probably do, but so the thing about science is that science is validated by peers, by peer review, unlike religion where it's like a dictatorship where you're told what you said and that's the answer.
Validated by books that were found.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think things like the Large Hadron Collider is somewhat, it is known. It's a known, the works that is done there is known by the scientific community. Not all of it might be published by newspapers or news all of the time because it's not necessarily interesting all the time. The more interesting question that you asked is there a wealthy science that's underground and hidden? I think that's the interesting topic here, which is we don't know. Like there are some people in the world that have a lot of money, that may have more money than Elon Musk, but we don't know about them. And like maybe Russians or Chinese that just they can pour money into research and not especially China, because they vastly control what goes in and out of their country through internet and just in and out of their country, information, the flow of information. Now, I'm not saying that the Chinese government are doing any of these things, but there is scope for them to have science that we don't know about. But at the same,
that stuff in America where they have like those crazy reveals that the CIA did like testing on their own people with weird things. Yeah. I think that like obviously I have no idea what happens in China, but like I feel like they could just be like just doing anything.
Yeah, all sorts of stuff.
Same in North Korea. So loads of people that are just dead zoned in terms of like, but like this is another thing that I think I like to think about a lot is that no one ever considers what's underneath us. Everyone always looks at these buildings all around us, but like there could easily be so much going on underneath our feet. And I know it's not easy to build underground necessarily, but if you have enough money, that'd be the logical place to do stuff.
No one looks down.
Yeah. And that's it. That's all you do. You go underground, you advance science, you nuke upstairs, you live underground, and you create a book and you say, in 400 years, and there's a clock on the wall, radiation will drop off on the Earth, and you guys are going to restart Earth, but you are going to remove it from all the problems that were caused. And it's almost not even a bad thing for them to do it, but like,
yeah,
it wouldn't be that hard. I was looking the other day at the arms race and the reactions of if different nukes are sent around the world and how like one nuke can essentially cause the end of the world.
Have you seen Have you seen the proportion of nuclear warheads that USA has compared to the rest of the world? Let me just give you some numbers quickly. So the UK has maybe 250 nuclear warheads. France has about 310. China has about 290. Israel has about the same. USA has 6,000 nuclear warheads.
I really wonder who's counting.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
I really wonder how they're like. I wonder if there's like an international ball and USA's just like, hey, got another one.
You got another one, yeah.
Yeah, 5 more this week. Fucking, what's that now? 6,000?
Coming.
Yeah,
that's about right.
All right, see you next week. We'll update you.
Yeah.
Like, who's doing that? No idea.
I think they might declare it in their they probably declare it in their governmental policies and here's what we did as government. Our military spending went on this and blah blah blah.
That's a shitload of bombs waiting to go off, though, isn't it?
It
Jesus.
is, yeah. I think the USA's strategy is this with nuclear warheads is let's say I'm the US and I'm saying this, we need to have as many nuclear warheads as everybody else that has nuclear warheads combined together. At least that amount. So that if if a nuclear war starts, we can bomb everyone. We can respond to every single one of them. So I think that's their strategy.
Does, we can say we had the biggest dick.
Yeah. That's basically what it is.
Literally it. But there's another thing to it, which is hypersonic missiles, which is changing it slightly because the thing about nukes is that there is a trajectory path that you can interrupt it on. Yeah. So you can see a missile coming and you can intercept that and react. Whereas hypersonic missiles are turning it into the fact that, you'd get an alert and 3 minutes later
you're dead.
You have to do something. Which is like a real interesting dilemma because, like, imagine if Russia fired a hypersonic missile over at the US, they'd have 3 minutes. If Biden's asleep, like he is because most 8-year-olds are asleep, what?
And only he has the authority to respond as well.
Yeah.
Like,
voicemail. Oh shit! Right, who next?
There's a what? There's a what flying over. Can you say that again?
It's like, do you want to do it? Yes or no? Yeah. And then that's it. That's
GG.
it.
The whole world gone.
Yeah. It's not good.
Well, actually, so the good thing about nuclear missiles is the radiation. So the radiation is fast radiation. So it burns fast, it explodes fast, and it also decays fast, which is why, like Hiroshima is habitable now.
Yeah, I was surprised when I learned about the damage caused, but actually feeling like I can survive it. Like, I was like, I thought a nuke would completely eradicate, like, if a nuke was to land, say, in Manchester, I thought to myself, well, I'm fucked, yeah. But I'm really not. I think
there would be some disturbance.
North would be fucked.
Yeah, there would be some disturbance for sure.
You feel it. Your windows would smash probably. I don't know if it would travel that far. The windows smashing.
But you'd probably blow your eardrums out.
Yeah, but like, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not a nice sun. Like, I'm not going to be sitting there having my Sunday lunch.
Manchester's going to blow up.
I'm just saying that, like, it's kind of. I thought it would be like the whole country is just gone, and I also thought there'd be more physical damage. But from what I understand, like,
there was a lot of physical damage in Hiroshima. Don't get wrong about that.
Yeah,
it's just that
it's
the last
to what
thing.
I thought. It's not like, so a grenade goes off and the building explodes. Yeah, the wall explodes. But I think if an atomic bomb goes off, it's more on the atomic level. It becomes decayed. Like, life becomes decayed. If you know, I can't really understand.
No.
All right, you go. Tell me.
Atomic bombs are just big bombs. They're just imagine normal explosives, but on a like catastrophic level. They don't really have any lasting effects on the environment around it, other than the complete destruction that it causes. It's not like and that's the reason because.
I think what I'm trying to say is like for example, a grenade. Yeah.
A grenade doesn't explode. A grenade doesn't. Nothing explodes from a grenade. The power from a grenade is the shattering of the shell, and it's basically like a shotgun. So you know a shotgun.
Yeah, shrapnel goes flying.
Yeah,
which
shrapnel goes flying. There's no
stuff, yeah.
There's no fire. There's no smoke. It's just shrapnel.
But with an atom bomb, what I didn't understand is, the mushroom cloud. Yeah. So where the bomb lands, obviously that has the same effect as the grenade, and anything quite near where it lands would have that. Yeah, it'd be completely fucked. Yeah,
it'd be fucked.
But the fallout, I used to think, was a wave that would cause that same destruction going around in a disbursement. But from what I looked at online, brief sort of watching YouTube videos late at night, I think it's more of a environmental change, like a dust and a change in climate caused by it. And also the force field going through would shatter windows and stuff like that. But it wouldn't be like your house had been detonated by DM. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it would if you were right underneath the bomb. And
yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I used to think that
radius.
the same feeling was outwards. That's what surprised me.
No, so
it's a different kind of damage, which is what is interesting. It's a radioactive damage.
Yeah, so when a nuclear powerhouse blows up, like the Russian one, what was the code for? What was it? What's the place?
Chernobyl.
Yeah, Chernobyl.
Dust to the dust of the West.
Yeah.
Destroyed our culture.
Nostalgia.
It was brilliant, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. It still is a good game.
Just thinking of Block right now.
Yeah. So the reason why that was so devastating was because the reaction time in a nuclear powerhouse is purposefully slow. You want things to happen slowly in a nuclear powerhouse so that you can get the most out of you can get the most efficiency out of the nuclear atoms that you've got. Whereas in a atom bomb, you want it all to happen at once. Like, you just want it to all go, like all nuclear decay to just go into that power. So there is no real lasting effects of nuclear or radioactivity in the area after a nuclear bomb's gone off. Again, which is why Hiroshima is habitable very soon after it was bombed. And Chernobyl isn't. Even still, it probably isn't habitable because the nuclear reaction is different. You're right in saying that the lasting effects of a nuclear bomb would be just complete destruction. Like where it landed, 10 to 20 mile radius would just be fucked. Like it'd be torn to, like it'd be rubble in the ground. And past that, windows would be smashed, ground would shake, the air pressure would probably blow your ears out. You'd be deaf for a while, maybe hopefully recuperate from it, and you'd go about your life. But with the amount of nuclear warheads that are about, I think there's probably at least one or two for every single city in the world. So basically, if you're near a city, just get the fuck out of there before somebody goes and do it. Which is why Russia understand that, and they don't fire nuclear missiles, and they attack the US in different ways through proximity wars, proxy wars, hacking.
Who do you think's the bad guys? US and Russia.
I don't see Russia as the bad guy.
I don't either.
Russia.
Do you know Vladimir Putin's 5'7"?
Yeah, he's a fucking don, mate.
Because I said I watched Vitalik, the owner of ETH. He met Thingy for a bit, and he was
Putin.
like, in photo. He was like, "What was the first thing like you thought?" And he was like, "Well, he's taller in photos." It's like because a lot of the photos, like they try and
big him up,
give him a dominating height perspective. If you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it sounds so bad because I like a lot of these things. I think I said it like about Bill Gates earlier, like king of assumptions. Like I think I said it once, like you bring validity. Like I skim the surface on many topics, and I'll get my opinion on that little dipping of the toe, and I'll believe that opinion till my death.
Yeah.
No, I will change my mind. I won't die on that hill, and I'll be open to other ideas. But I do sometimes think I know things and talk like I do, but I definitely don't.
Yeah. Neither do I. I do bullshit a lot as well, but
with old Vlad over here, I think he's just a misunderstood pony.
I don't think he's misunderstood at all. I think
he's really intelligent, but I don't know about the atrocities that he's done. Like, I don't know if he tortures his own people and all this crazy stuff. Like, I really don't know.
I think,
but to me, it looks like he just wants to protect Russia and make Russia
that's exactly
have as much love for itself as a country as America wants to say.
Exactly.
And it's like saying, yeah, okay, you can have your Western ideology. Hot dogs are fine, but like. We love this, and just because you want to be really strong, that doesn't mean we can't want the same.
Exactly.
And a lot of the things are like, why did you do this like maneuver like with your warships? It's like, well,
just to
because
fucking
if we didn't do it, then they do this.
Get closer. Yeah, they'd get closer every time.
Yeah.
So the thing I love about here's the thing: Russia are in a bit of a sticky situation. If you look at the history of Russia over the last century, basically. What's happened is the European Union and the West, including the United States, which is part of NATO, have been slowly getting closer to the capital of Russia, Moscow. And if you look at the territory on the Mercator map chart on on Wikipedia.
Who's been getting closer to Russia? Sorry, US.
US and I mean NATO.
So
right. European Union.
But through there, they extend their reach closer, and they're claiming more land bit by bit.
So
there's more guns facing Russia.
Yeah, so the whole of the Balkans. So that includes Bulgaria, Ukraine, all of those sort of areas, Eastern Europe. They all used to be part of Russia and were Russian for a very long time, like a very long time. And then all of a sudden, Europe managed to grab hold of them. And if you look at where Moscow was 200 years ago in terms of its relation and its distance from from the rest of Europe, it's miles. It's like it's so far away that there's no worries. Like if you was the capital in Moscow. If you was the leader of the capital in Moscow back in like 1890, you'd go like, we live in the dream. We've got like so much land. Anyone that wants to come and get us, they got to cross like 50 miles, maybe more, 150, 200 miles of just wasteland before they get to us. And it's mountainous wasteland as well. So they're never going to get through that. And then all of a sudden, 50 years later, they're right at your doorstep. And you're like, fuck, how did that happen? So I'm totally with Putin in that all he's trying to do is protect the motherland, protect Russia, protect their culture, which I think everybody in the world tries to do. And the West put a bad name on him. And now it has been controversial recently with Russia because of what Putin's been doing or not doing to the recent person that is being detained in Russia. I forget his name. I think
the chap who's trying to contest against him.
Yeah.
He got like poisoned, didn't he, or something?
Yeah, but I think the history that Putin has had over the last 30 years of his time in power, I think he's had mostly better intentions towards his country than our prime ministers and the US prime ministers have towards our countries.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, put it this way. I mean, he's not in it for his own image.
And he's fucking switched on.
He's made his own image, yeah.
Yeah,
and he's switched on.
He's
definitely.
Fucking switched on.
And do you know what's the funny thing? No matter what happens, like everything going on in America and everything like that, you can imagine they're just like, this fucker just always was wriggling around.
Yeah.
And the another thing here is that it kind of pokes a kind of interesting question at democracy over here, which is that is switching leaders so consistently a way to get things done?
No, it's the opposite. It's anti.
You don't make any progress, whereas look at what he's achieved.
Exactly. It's the same with Dubai as well. Same with the United Arab Emirates. You look at at the last 20 years of the United Arab Emirates. Before it was literally just a fishing country with like villages, basically. 20 years time, it's a capital of the world. Like it's, pinnacle like right at the top, modern, and that's because they've had strong leaders, not necessarily the best of views in the world, but they've been strong leaders, and they've directed their country down a pathway of success. They've not had competition on, the budget's going to change in 4 years' time, and that's going to impact it. No, fuck that. It's just like, this is what we're doing for the next 20 years. We're going to fucking make it. That's what Putin's done. That's what China have done. That's what Dubai has done. You look at the West and we haven't moved. We've literally been stuck in quicksand for the last 20 years. Nothing good has happened.
It's an interesting one.
I think we might wrap it up there.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's been the next hour.
Good one. I've got a good one though.
I think you can save it for episode 11.
All right, I won't ask it. I didn't bring a riddle.
Do you have the answer to the last riddle?
Oh, what was it?
I don't know. I don't know.
Wait. No, I can find it. If you keep talking about something, la-di-da-di-da, I can find, because I write them down.
Episode 9. Hopefully we'll get a guest on episode 10. Hopefully. We're not promising anything. It could just be another rambling of Woody and Tim. If you're listening on YouTube, please like, comment, subscribe. If you're not listening on YouTube, then it's really difficult for us to know whether you're an actual listener or not. If you're Spotify, we can tell, but we don't know really much about you. I kind of know what device you're on. Apple has been sort of coming up there a bit, in second place with the plays. But you can rate on those platforms. You can share the links. There's not much really you can do on podcast platforms other than rate and just listen to the ramblings of Woody and Tim. Upload weekly. It's Tuesday today, so this will be out Friday 9:00, hopefully, if I remember. Obviously you know that if you're listening to it right now, so it's kind of irrelevant me saying so. But yeah, that's about it. I think hopefully Tim has pulled up the video so he can remember the riddle that he remembered.
No, so we're sacking off that riddle, just pretend it never happened. But we have got a new one, which is, you can place the trust that we will definitely promise to bring you the answer. What question can someone ask all day long, but people always give them different answers, and yet the answers can all be correct? Thanks for listening.